Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel, where today I want to talk about Ten Hag and his fullbacks. I want to talk about the problem he has at the moment with his fullback setup, the profile of fullback that he has at the football club, and a way in which he can potentially change the way he is using his fullbacks currently to improve Manchester United overall as a team. And the reason I want to do this is because Ten Hag and his fullbacks is kind of a connection point which was spoken about quite a lot before he came into the club and even last season. But right now, I just don't think he's getting the best out of them, so I want to discuss how he can do a better job of doing that. So before we continue into the video, a quick shout out to today's video sponsor, JerseyFifa.com, the home of all of the greatest football kits. Whether that be the new latest releases or the old classic ones like this, Jersey FIFA has something for everyone, and now you can check it out yourself using the link in the description down below. And also make sure to use code JerseyFifa for 10% off when you order. Now, to firstly kind of defend Erik ten Hag, if you like, it's actually quite difficult to get the best out of these Manchester United fullbacks because you have so many different profiles. You've got Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who doesn't offer you too much on the ball in terms of his passing, but he's an okay dribbler of the ball. He can carry the ball forward well. Defensively, he looks for 1v1 duels in deep areas, so that's the sort of profile you're getting with Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Compare that to Dalot, not so good in 1v1 situations, and perhaps not quite as good at dribbling, but a much better passer, a much better end product in the final third, much more intelligent, much more technically secure. So instantly it's quite difficult to figure out a role for your right backs in this team because you've got two very different right backs. It's the same at left back as well. Luke Shaw really excels in deep phase progression, he's press resistant, very technically secure, very good on the ball, and I mean also pretty good in the final third as well, in my opinion, probably the best left back in the world on his day. Compare that to Reguilón, who isn't someone who's responsible for progressing the ball in the slightest. He likes to push forward, get, kind of uninvolved in possession, push nice and high, get out the way and play from there. So again, you've got two different profiles of player here, and that makes it quite difficult for Ten Hag to make a system because, you got so many different players, so many different profiles who suit different ways of playing. Now, as a result, a potential solution might be for Ten Hag to go back to basics a little bit. So currently what the structure looks like, and let's say the United team is fully fit. This seems to be Ten Hag's favoured 11 at the moment. Let's say the team is fully fit. This tends to be kind of what Ten Hag was going for at times in the opening weeks. Now, importantly, something I should say before we get into this is that always in a Ten Hag side you will see rotations. So we might have Shaw here, but at times he'll appear wide, higher, whatever. But this was kind of the shape that he was going with, and Luke Shaw doesn't really suit this position here because he just doesn't have the right understanding of receiving angles and also passing angles from this position. The timing of movement, he's not too great in this position. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, probably not really good enough with his passing and his progressive play to actually be particularly effective from here. So it's not really working. One thing he could do, Erik ten Hag, is move to a slightly more basic build-up structure. He could go to something which is more like a 2-3 shape, the shape we were seeing largely around Europe, kind of before last season. The 2-3 shape where the fullbacks play a much more balanced role, so you don't need specialists as such. You can almost plonk any old fullback into this sort of role and they're going to have a basic understanding of what they need to do. However, the flaws and the drawbacks of this shape are you leave lots of space out here to defend in transition. Rafael Varane and Sandro Martinez get more exposed. I don't think it is the best solution. We could see it happen, but I don't think it is the best solution. I actually think there is a better way for Ten Hag to deal with this problem. And it involves the new midfield which has been built. A midfield 3 where, in my opinion, you start Casemiro, you start Amrabat, and you also start Bruno Fernandes. And kind of rejig the structure a little bit. So to rejig the structure and also the positioning of certain players, we're going to take this starting 11 here and consider a few different things. First of all, Luke Shaw injured, so he needs to come out the side. Let's put Diogo Dalot in at left back. We're going to keep Wan-Bissaka at right back. We're going to stick with Rafael Varane and Sandro Martinez with the hope that they will be fit after the international break. In midfield, Mason Mount is injured, but I would like to assume that once he's back, he will be a starter. However, perhaps he isn't a starter in this particular position. Perhaps with Sancho and Antony problems on the right wing, which we won't go into today, perhaps with problems there, we could see Mason Mount move to the right-hand side. Now, just bear with me on this. We'll come back to it, and it will make a lot more sense in a minute. This is a role he played for Chelsea and was actually really good there under Thomas Tuchel. This then means you bring Amrabat into this position and push Casemiro in like this. This is now your new United starting 11. Potentially, again, just hear me out on this one. It doesn't look perfect on paper right away, but give it a second and it might start to cook a little bit. So, Sorry, I need to swap these two real quick, actually. Casemiro and Amrabat. There we go. So what we're going to see from this sort of system is United still looking to use the 3-2 shape, which Ten Hag likes because it gives you defensive support. It helps you defend a counter-attack in wide areas. We're going to use that same system, but we're going to manipulate the positioning of a few different players to get more out of them. So when Dalot plays as a left-back, what's he best at? It's not playing as part of a back three, particularly. It's not really where he's good. It's not bombing forward down the outside because being right-footed, it doesn't really suit him. It is inverting. So, okay, we're going to invert Diogo Dalot. What is Lisandro Martinez's best position in possession? Probably as a slightly wider left centre-back because it opens up passing angles for him to play the ball forward, down the line into areas like this, but also allows him to open up his body and then play inside. Varane prefers to be kind of the right-sided centre-back on this side as well, and, you know, you're not going to get the same thing from him, but it is still what he prefers. However, we need a third player to drop into this position because if we're going to build with a back two, you're going to see problems defending the transition. How about we drop Casemiro in? What if we drop Casemiro into these deeper areas into this position? Now, this was a role he started to play last weekend against Arsenal and actually looked pretty good there. His best performance of the season. And the reason for that is because when he has the ball, he is facing play. When he's receiving the ball, he's facing play rather than having players on his back. When he plays slightly higher in the midfield, he's not very good at scanning around him. So he'll often receive the ball in a situation like this. And if you watch him in the build-up, he just doesn't check his shoulders enough. So he's never really aware of this player coming onto him, making him a target for players to press. If you drop him into the middle centre-back position, suddenly we have less of a problem there and he can do a good job. So we now have this back three structure which Erik ten Hag likes to use. We've also got one of our double pivot with Diogo Dalot inverting. How about we move Amrabat as the other double pivot player? Like this. Again, it looks like it makes a lot of sense to me. This is Amrabat's best position in the side. He can rotate with Casemiro in certain instances, because again, we know that Ten Hag likes rotations. But again, this works quite nicely. What is Marcus Rashford's best position in the attack? In my opinion, it's on the left-hand side, on the left wing, where he is able to get at players in 1-versus-1 situations. Now, importantly, he does need to be given license to occasionally move inside, but again, that will always happen with Ten Hag's rotations. I think he needs to play on the left-hand side so he sees more of the ball. So let's put him in there. Rasmus Højlund, best position obviously as a striker. Wan-Bissaka as a right-back. His best position is playing a little bit higher because his progressive ability from deeper areas isn't so great. So we're going to push Wan-Bissaka higher. Now, we just need to find a place for Bruno Fernandes and Mason Mount, and it actually looks incredibly easy. Bruno Fernandes' best days at United have come when he's been in the left-hand half space, near Marcus Rashford. This makes room for Mason Mount in the right half space. And this now gives you a really nice balanced shape, but also a really nice balanced structure, where it feels like we've got pretty much every player in their best position, apart from probably Rafael Varane. Now, if you were to kind of look forward in terms of squad building, you would want a better attacking right back in this position than Aaron Wan-Bissaka. And long term, you'd maybe have to sign a new left back to play this role rather than Dalot. But does this give United the potential to do something a little bit different? Because now we've got Lisandro Martinez in a position where he can use his progressive passing because everything is in front of him. We've got the same for Casemiro. The play is in front of him. But also, we have a back three here, which means you're ready to defend transition. We've got a two in midfield who are two of United's better technical players in these areas. Two of the players who are more composed under pressure. Amrabat being our sort of high volume, dictating the play midfielder in this position. We've got Mason Mount coming in from the right hand side and Bruno Fernandes in from the left hand side. Now we know that Erik ten Hag wants Bruno Fernandes and Mason Mount to be high in the half spaces. The problems he's had in the opening weeks is it has left Casemiro isolated. Amrabat though won't have the same problem if Dalot's inverting alongside him. We get Rashford in his best position, Wan-Bissaka providing our width down the right hand side, and Rasmus Højlund up front. I don't think it's perfect, but I don't think this is a perfectly built squad. But I do think it gives United a lot of potential. Now, if Ten Hag wanted to stick to his principle of Bruno Fernandes in the right half space and Mason Mount in the left, you can do that as well. You just start Bruno Fernandes as your right winger and invert him into this position. Again, I actually just think it solves a lot of problems. This isn't the longest video we'll ever do. This was me kind of brainstorming over the past couple of days. A way in which Ten Hag can kind of find a way of better balancing the squad without making wholesale changes to the starting 11 or even to his shape. This is still the 3-2-4-1 shape, which he often likes to use, or the 3-box-3, whatever you want to call it. But I just feel like we don't have too many square pegs in round holes here, apart from, like I said, maybe Rafael Varane, maybe Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Although Varane, I think, even to be fair, would be pretty comfortable in this position. I think it gives United a nicer balance. Let me know what you think, though, in the comments. Because, again, this isn't massively analytical. This isn't the biggest tactical breakdown we'll ever do. Again, I was just thinking the other night, before I went to bed, I was just kind of brainstorming different ideas for United and a way to improve the structure in and out of possession, and particularly defensive transitions. I quite like the idea of this. I think we get a nice balance here on the ball. It's very Barcelona-esque, what we've seen from Barcelona in the last couple of seasons, where you play a midfielder on the wing on one side, either Mason Mount or Bruno Fernandes. For Barcelona, it's Gavi. And on that side of the pitch, the width is provided by a fullback. Now, in their case, they have Balde, so it is a much better attacking outlet than Aaron Wan-Bissaka. But again, the squad isn't perfect right now. Maybe in the future, you could see this turned into a signing of someone like Jeremy Frimpong, for example, who has been heavily linked with the club. This is a sort of role that would suit him a lot more, would suit him really well. So again, maybe that has been hinted at already. We also know that if Ten Hag wanted to, he could shift this to more of a 3-4-3 diamond, like this, where Amrabat would drop deeper, Diogo Dalot pushes a little bit further forward because he's played this role already this season, and Mason Mount goes into zone 14, or again with rotations, it could be Bruno Fernandes and Mason Mount a little bit deeper. I think it solves a lot of problems. I really do. Again, not the most in-depth video we'll ever do, and I'm pretty much done there for this kind of concept. I want to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments down below though. Can you add a little bit of extra depth to what we're talking about here? What are other strengths that we would see from playing this formation? But also, some weaknesses. What are some reasons why we shouldn't play this shape? Again, let me know what you think in the comments down below. This has been, you know, something a little bit different. Me kind of brainstorming, trying to figure out some ideas. So let me know what you think. But apart from that, I think thank you guys for watching. Hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.